Select Board to session, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first up, we do have a couple of announcements. That I moved. The Grafton's Farmer Market will be open on Wednesday, June 15th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. here at the Municipal Center. Vendors will be set up on the south side of the building near the entrance off Brigham Hill Road. The Grafton Historical Society will host the 53rd Annual Antiques and Arts Fair on the Common on Saturday, June 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and admission is $5. For more information, call 508-887-2778 or email graftonmahistory@gmail.com. And a reminder that next week, that the next and last community input meeting of the design of the passive recreation park for 94 North Street is this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom at tinyrl.com/95north meeting. 2 designs concepts will be presented with different themes, layouts, and amenities, and we are seeking your input to finalize the design to develop cost estimates. Project information can be found at tinyurl.com/95north. Okay, so the first on the agenda is a public hearing. We have none. No select board appointments, town administrator appointments.
Yep, that's me. So we are asking, or I am asking you to appoint Amber Defendifer to the Select Board Administrative Assistant / Finance Committee / ATA position.
Very excited.
Yes, it was a lot of interviewing and a lot of no showing, and it's been a long road to try to find somebody for this, but Amber came in and interviewed. We called her probably within about 15 minutes of her leaving. She really did a great job. I think she's going to be a really good fit, both to our office and to the role. Seems to have a really nice personality and definitely sharp. So
Excellent.
we're excited.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Sure. I move the board vote to affirm Amber Defendifer's appointment as the administrative assistant to the Grafton Select Board, Finance Committee, and Affordable Housing Trust.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. And that was it for appointments, correct?
I believe so.
All right, first thing on the agenda is the town clerk, Miss LaValle.
All right.
How are
Let's
you?
start with this. I brought one of the pins, so. All right, so a few things here tonight. I don't know which one's first. Oh, appointment process. All right. So should we start there?
Yeah.
All right. So clearly last year, I mentioned that the appointment process that we currently have in place is that, usually everybody just comes in randomly throughout the day for weeks on end. And seeing how in June there's multiple appointments to committees and it's a yearly thing, it just makes more sense to kind of have like a mass swearing of some type. So thinking of that as having like one night appointment and then, a day or whatever, and we still can have people come in obviously, but this should help with getting a majority of the people, if they're already here and are required to be present, have them just come to the office, take care of that, and be done. So we currently email most of the forms anyways after the fact, so we can just get everybody sworn in, and then we can email all the other paperwork after that's said and done as well.
Sounds good.
So that's what I have for that. There are a couple other things I want to, bring up. And, part of the process, I think, is next week that the appointment process is. So it was obviously broadcast via Zoom, so I can watch and just print things, have people come down. you know, after each, you know, set of, or, you know, board committee and just get it done. So does that make sense to everybody? Kind of just, if they're here.
Yeah,
Might as well
I
do
think you
it.
might even be able to print them out ahead of time because I don't think many are contested. So
Right.
I think people are just going to be swearing in and walking right
Yep.
down to you.
Cindy did share her form, which I have. She had like a couple more updates, so we can do that and just have them ready. Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions about that? Fantastic.
So the other point I want to make is election workers, which I think is still being brought up. We've already obviously lost about 7, I think, that have opted not to. I think that some of them being older don't like the idea of having to come at night, be, you know, and go through the process, whatnot. So I would appreciate, and seeing how most of them have been working for us for years and years, not having to have them come to meetings since they already do it. And it's, you know, it's not a board or committee, it's an election.
They are exempt from this process.
Yes. Thank you. So that was my other thing. So I might have a few phone calls to make of people who decided they don't want to because they thought they had to fight to keep their spot. So, you know, that's my next move.
Yep.
All right, good. That's that with that. All right. Any other thing for the appointment process? Or are we good?
I believe that's it. Boston Post King.
All right. So Boston Post Kane, we finally got the pins in, which I just passed around. So I think we can start moving forward. I reached out to a couple other towns to get some language for a citation, which was the other piece that we wanted to do, and then a plaque, which we'll have. So I know we kind of had a few things, you know, just in the parking lot until we got to this point. So I know who the person is, and I think Justin Stone has been reaching out to me too, wanting to ask this person to be the Grand Marshal at the 4th of July. So I'm hoping we can start this so that way we can, you know, give them this award and then have them also be part of the parade. So I don't know what you want to do.
I mean, I love that idea. So you want to do the award at the parade or ahead of the parade or?
I think maybe ahead of the parade, and then they can just, you know, have their glory of being there, I guess.
Okay, so
I
that
don't
would
know.
be next week. 'Cause we have one meeting before the parade. That's next week. Would you be ready to go for that?
We can do that. We can make it. I have the cane. We have the pins. I know who the person is.
And they're excited to be the person?
I don't know. We haven't contacted them
'Cause
only
that's-
because
They might
You know,
be like, forget about it. I
yeah.
don't want everyone knowing.
well, we got a list, so we can go down the line if they refuse, you know, that. But you know, I think that if they can make it to that meeting, or you know, work out something where you know they get the award and everything that comes with it, that would be great.
Okay.
So we're good with that.
Yeah, I can have that on the agenda for next week and just touch base. Let me know what you need from us, and even if it's just us recognizing them because they can't make it to the meeting for whatever reason, you know.
And I just don't want to say a name yet because
Of
we
course,
don't know.
that's right.
All right, perfect. So I'll start working on that too.
Yes, it has been.
Actually, I think it's Bob DeToma. We were
Oh.
joking. Right? No, he took the cane. It was a funny thing. Okay, so I'll get working on that, and I'll reach out to you, Evan, as well for like the citation and to finalize that.
Sure.
All right, and then the last thing I think is the bylaw review committee and the designation.
Yeah, so it sounds like you are unable to be a part of this committee, and that is fine. I don't know if you necessarily need to make a designation. I think the board can just reconsider the membership and or take your designation or whatever. But if you cannot fulfill your duties, then you know we'll make that spot open for somebody else.
Yeah, so somebody did express interest, and then I was just like, actually, all right, if I need a designee, this person would be good. So it's totally up to you. They wanted
So
to,
what does
but-
the board want to do? Does the board want to leave the charge as is and update town clerk or designee, or would you guys want to change to a different member entirely?
Well, the committee already had one meeting and they're gonna have another meeting, so there's, Dave is scheduling another meeting, so I think we should get everybody on it that we can, and if, Candy, if you, I saw that you're recommending Roger Courier, and, I don't have a problem with that at all, so.
How does everybody else feel? I agree. Okay. All right, so we can just update the charge to add town clerk or designee, so that way in future years, if people use this charge again, they have that language still in there, and then I just take a motion to appoint Roger Courier to the bylaw committee so he can get sworn in and get
Sure
ready to
can.
work?
I move the board vote to designate J. Roger Courier Jr. as the bylaw review committee town clerk designee.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, declare the motion carried.
I think that's it.
Well, thank you for coming, and do you need this pen back?
I mean, yeah, you can give it to Evan. I can get it from him.
I have one on my desk.
But you're not the oldest.
No, I know. I'm saving up.
Oh, I was thinking, okay, that's.
I've actually just been giving them out randomly.
Okay, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, people
All right.
throwing them back at you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night, Candy.
Up next is the Winery Farmers Market license for Agronomy Farm.
Agronomy.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Vineyards.
Any discussion? And just write the motion.
So they've been at the farmers market before. They took a few years off because of COVID, but they have come and been a successful part of the farmers market. So I don't think there's any standout discussion to be had unless anybody has any questions or concerns. All right, I can take a motion.
Sure. I move the board vote to approve a farmer's market license for Agronomy Farm Vineyard at the Grafton Farmers Market on Wednesdays from June 15th, 2022 through October 5th, 2022 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the
Discussion.
motion?
Well, did you have something to say?
I was just going to point out that somebody from Agronomy Farms is here.
Oh,
Okay, okay.
wonderful. Do they want to say hello?
Yeah, this is Corey O'Connor from Agronomy Farm. You guys were moving right along, so I didn't want to butt in, but thank you all for the approval. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the market this year.
All right, very exciting.
Thank you for participating.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, declare the motion carried. Congratulations, and the first day is tomorrow, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
You too.
So next up is Holden Farm Sunflower Shanty 1-day beer and wine license, and I see we do have someone on Zoom as well as a couple members in the audience. If anybody wants to come up and speak to that.
Hi.
Hi,
How are
welcome back.
you? Yes. I feel like we're best friends now. So we have some dates for you guys. We have already used, after the month of June is over, we will have used 15. So our remaining dates are, I don't know if you want me to hand it to you, or just read them to you. It'll be July 2nd, 16th, and 23rd, August 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, September 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th, October 1st, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, for a total of 30 days.
Yeah, can I see a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Oh, all right, thank you. So, you have some approved dates that you're no longer gonna be using.
Correct.
So the June 19th, 22, 24, 25, you no longer want, correct?
And this, these are
Yep.
the ones that were already approved,
Yep,
and the highlighted ones are the ones that,
you're not using, so
Wait, that-
19, 22, 20, perfect.
yeah, that we
Alright.
did not use.
So we'll get rid of that week. And then,
So we didn't know if we needed to, do a new application for those dates, since those are not on that.
Those should fall under the other,
yeah,
license.
we'll modify the original one where we
Okay.
exclude these dates
Yeah.
that we're taking off to include these dates moving forward.
Okay.
But I would like to ask Evan if he can check with council or somebody to just going forward to know that this is an okay thing to do in case there are some more dates in here that you don't use.
That's
If-
what we were
If
wondering
you
too,
come
in
back,
case it
are we
rains or
allowed to do
something.
this? Cause I would hate to start this process and then
I
tell you
know.
we can't do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's so many gray areas that's
I
where
will
we.
And we
double
contra-
check that.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, well,
that is my
I'm happy to
understanding
do
from
it
the last
tonight,
conversation.
but I just wanna make sure we're allowed
Yeah,
to do
Yeah,
this.
30 days is 30 days. Yep.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions or concerns at all? Nope. All right, so can I have a motion for the board to edit the existing one-day beer and wine license for Holden Sunflower Shanty to exclude the following dates: April 27th, May 4th, May 18th, May 25th, June 1st, June 5th, June 12th, June 19th, June 22nd, June 24th, and June 25th, and to include the following dates: July 2nd, July 16th, July 23rd, August 6th, August 13th, August 20th, August 27th, September 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th, and October 1st, 15th, 22nd, and 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Discussion. So, these dates are gonna change, but that really doesn't change anything as far as music goes.
No, correct.
So,
Because we have our,
Yeah, we still have the schedule lined up for the music.
right, so
we're
something's gonna be done to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's all. I just wanted to throw that
Yeah,
out.
we're
one
still-
issue at
I know, I know.
No, we're still
Separate license,
assessing
separate
that.
license.
Okay, good.
Okay, so motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Nope. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait.
You do have a hand on Zoom.
Okay. So close. Zoom. Hello, is that Trevor?
It is.
Okay. Super
can't
dark,
see
buddy.
him.
Can't see you, but you can speak if you'd like.
Never mind, I'm all set. I apologize.
Oh, no. It's
He
okay.
just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Trevor.
How's it going?
All right.
Well, I guess I had one question. Once we get this one situation figured out, if we can somehow or some way get more permits, will those dates stand, or could we alter those?
So that's a good question. As far as my understanding goes, these are the only dates available to you in this current calendar year unless something changes on this license that the board can approve.
Correct. No, I'm just saying moving forward. Like if the situation is that we were able to get more.
Could we reinstate days? Is that what you're asking?
Oh, no.
No,
So
not reinstate days.
You
just
got an
sort of,
additional license
fill-
that covered more things. Is that what you're asking?
or no, just fill in the blanks. Essentially that the days that we're taking off.
Are you thinking like if you got a liquor license some other way other than this 30-day process that we could then change it? Is that what you're asking? In other words, you have legal or some other thing that you're thinking?
I think what he's asking is what I asked earlier, is that if they don't use these dates, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just
That's what I
asking if
said.
we can obtain more permits. Can we fill in the dates that aren't being used with additional permits?
That's a great question. That's not really what's up for discussion tonight, and I don't know if we have enough information to answer that properly right now.
Alrighty.
I think
And the
we
next
have
meeting
a
is next week, you said?
council.
I'm sorry, what?
The next meeting
Next
is
week.
next week.
Yes,
Correct.
next week.
Alrighty. That's it.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Declare the motion carried. I'm just going to keep
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I wish it was typed, sorry.
No, it's great. We'll make it work.
Thank you, guys.
Great, thank
Have a
you.
We
good
actually
night.
had to make 4 copies with our 4 children just dumping into
All right. Up next is the Civics student project response. And did everyone see the email from Evan this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay, what would the board like to do? All right, is anybody interested in taking it on and giving individual responses?
If
And-
yeah, if it
That's
has to be
gonna-
just one of us, I'd do that. Or if somebody's agreeable to split them out, I'm happy to split them out. But for me, I'd like the response to come from one of us.
Okay. Emery?
I was just gonna say, this is probably all, we're done for the year.
Getting them?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
That's the
most likely.
that's the information.
School
I got
ends on
today.
Friday,
Correct.
so I hope.
Yeah,
hope
that's what I
we're
mean.
Oh
So-
yeah. Well, that aside,
Yeah.
my kid's last day was today, and I didn't even pick up on that.
Because that's my other concern is
Yeah.
I think I thought tonight we were gonna have an approved response that we were gonna send out to them because we knew the end of school was coming, which we have available. I just don't know how quickly individual responses, like, do they have access to their email once school's over?
Oh, I
I believe so.
Okay, I don't know. My kids aren't that old yet.
Now I wish I paid better attention, but I believe they have access to their email going forward.
In school too.
Okay.
So I did give you kind of that boilerplate language response, which I'm sure, even if they don't have access, we can probably give letters or responses to the school department and say, can you please mail these? I'm sure the school will work with us to make sure that they get responses back, however that happens.
Okay.
I think it's great if you want to take it on and do that, within the next week or so. But if not, I think it would be adequate, given that we only have 2 or 3 days left in the school year, that the response that you did would be adequate for the students. So I guess either way.
You have any thoughts?
Sorry, I zoomed out.
It's all right. I like maybe even a combination of both.
I
if-
admit
if
it.
you're
You're
very
honest.
I admit it.
excited to do it. We can send out the boilerplate one so they get an immediate response, and then they can get a more individual one that the schools can mail to them, over the summer or something.
That works. My only question with that would be, is that something that after I draft them, the board should review, or?
No, I
we handle that?
trust that you're gonna give appropriate responses,
Okay.
Be fantastic if you do.
and then I just won't
Well,
trust
just
you
the
going
board gets all
forward.
these random complaints. and
I know.
Andy over
Who
it.
is Andy Jefferson?
The other
Clearly,
thing,
Evan
the other thing to
Brasser.
keep in mind, if you are gonna, if we have to go the mail route, like we have thank you cards and stuff, if you wanna just grab, we have all that stuff in the office, so.
Oh, great.
If you wanna do it that way, we have that available too.
That'd be great.
Okay. So do I need a motion to send out the boilerplate one, or can you kind of do that so that gets the ball rolling, and then Andy can go forward with the other one?
I don't think you need a motion to
Okay,
do
great.
that. Yeah.
Perfect. So everybody gets it?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the resolution, Andy Jefferson.
Awesome. So, as I mentioned in the packet, in the wake of so many national crises where racism has been a key factor, and after hearing concerns from multiple other citizens, I decided to move forward with a resolution that I felt would be appropriate for Grafton. Everybody got a draft copy for their review.
William, do you mind just pulling it up on the screen? Thank you. Sorry, Andy.
No. Speaking personally for me, I feel that racism and bigotry are something that should be met head on and need to be addressed as they happen. I hold us as leaders of the community to a higher standard than I would hold anybody else. I would hope that any other committees under our purview would agree with this proclamation as it's a standard that I personally would hold them to as well. I would expect this type of behavior. It's not directed at any one committee or member in particular, just general feelings, and I felt it was something that was appropriate for us to do.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So Andy, I read this. And I'm really kind of confused as to what the intent of this document is. One, it was taken from another town. And there was another one in Maine, which you sent to us. But I don't understand the intent of it. I read this and I look at it and I say, the select board are now gonna be the police of all of the stuff that's in here. That if someone has a complaint about, and I'm gonna read it, okay?
Sure.
Residents, employers, places of worship, elected or appointed officials must, in our community, must engage in similar commitments. And I'm trying to get the intent of this whole thing, that because I picture a parade of people coming in here before us that someone has complained about, and we are now judge and jury. And I don't get me wrong. I hate racism and discrimination and white supremacy and all of that stuff. It's awful.
Yeah.
I did say before that we should not be responding to national issues on this board. But I don't get the intent. And it really looks like we are going to be judge and jury on places of worship really bothered me. That really bothered me. Employers really bothered me. But places of worship really bothered me. That if someone makes a complaint against a place of worship, this document means they're coming here. And we are going to be judge and jury. And I believe that we can come up with something that doesn't have all of this stuff that we, the Grafton Select Board, promise to condemn and stand against racism. I do that individually all the time, but I'm not going to be the judge and jury of residents, employers, and places of worship.
I don't believe
In
they've
this
asked
town.
us to do that.
That's exactly what this says.
I-
It's exactly, so, and if I'm wrong, and again, I asked a question.
Sure.
What is the intent?
The intent is that it is my opinion that actions and phrases, acts, whatever you want to classify it as, deserve a unified front in terms of that type of behavior, or those actions won't be accepted from town officials.
And who
Yeah.
polices that?
I don't believe there's a need to police it. I think it is
Well, then
just a
there's-
general
if there's no
proclamation
need-
that behavior is deemed unacceptable.
If there's no need to police it, then why are we asking residents, employers, places of worship, elected and appointed officials in our community to engage in similar commitments?
I don't think it's wrong to ask people, leaders of our community, to engage in a unified front against racism, or racist speech and actions.
So,
If there is-
so again, I'm gonna go back to what
Which
is the
which is fine.
intent?
I believe I just articulated that I think it's important that the leaders of Grafton form a unified front to reassure residents that hate speech, racism, that type of thing has no place in our town. I don't believe that I've indicated that the select board needs to be the jury or arbiter of those things, or that we're responsible for those things. If there's any language, or as you said, the places of worship. This is a discussion. It was put forth so that it could be revised and redrafted. If those things really bother you, then we can take those out. But my intent was to ask leaders of the community to take the stand with us that racism has no place here in Grafton. Not to judge,
You're
not
asking
to any
leaders
of that
of the
stuff. I'm
community,
just
the
asking.
leaders of the community, plus
Yes.
residents, employers, and places of worship.
If I may.
Go ahead.
So for me, if we're gonna revise it, I would like to remove residents, employers, places of worship, and just leave it to elected and appointed officials.
Sure.
Because I think everybody's entitled to have whatever opinion they want, but it's a privilege to serve the town of Grafton, whether you're elected or appointment, and with privileges come responsibilities, and one of these responsibilities we're gonna be asking our volunteers is to condemn racism, and I think that's perfectly reasonable.
But I think it could be one paragraph. I don't think it needs to be, I don't think it needs to be that, if the select board condemns racism, and I hope, I know that we do, then that's all that should be on this thing. All of this other stuff that's on here shouldn't be on here, in my opinion. It should not be on here. Better understand and acknowledge those privileges we enjoy, while others do not. What privileges do we enjoy that others do not?
Isn't this a privilege? Isn't what we're doing right now
It's-
a privilege that
it's-
not everybody
it's
enjoys?
Not that, Andy. It's the words that are written here. It's the words that are written here. It's not, that makes
But
it
you
sound like
asked me
other.
a question and I just responded
That
to
makes
it.
it
So
sound like, hey, we have more money than you, or we have this, or we're better than you, or anything.
privileges
No, we're
come
not.
in many forms, Ray.
No.
It is not limited to any of those things that you listed right
So
now.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not in favor of any of this right now.
So be it.
Not at all. And I would agree that the board could put out a statement or whatever this is, in a one paragraph thing and not add all of this stuff, not copy another town. There's only been one town out of 351 towns in Massachusetts that has adopted this, and one town in Maine that has adopted this. Not even, and they're almost the same. But-
Is that true, or just the examples we were given?
Those were just the examples that I provided because I
That's all I
found that to
found.
be the one that I.
So
the ones
that's,
that
so I looked
appreciated.
at it and that's all I found. But, you know, we're all against racism, we're all against bigotry, and we're all against discrimination. I think it can be done in a short paragraph and not this long thing.
Okay. Emery, do you have any thoughts?
No.
Okay. Andy, do you have any thoughts?
I guess I'll say, I wouldn't mind seeing it go back for some
Revision.
things. Certainly the religious places of worship were brought up to me by other people as well.
Okay.
I would accept any notes that anybody on the board has.
So I think we're all in favor of at least the places of worship going away. I'll take it a step further by saying I think also residents and employers, because I really think that this is, if it's coming from us, it should really just be focused on elected and appointed officials. You know, I said my piece earlier on that. I don't think it's a big deal that it's coming from another community. I think that's a sign of government. If something does work, people copy it. So I don't take that as a strike against it.
No,
But
I
if
was
you
just
want
saying
it-
that because there was only one out of 351 cities and towns.
Yep.
That's it, one.
And the dates when they were both adopted, I think, are pretty telling too. I think there is, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying we don't condone racism. But if another draft or revision of this could come back, I think I would like to see it too.
Sure.
Because I do want to see everybody in agreement on some kind of language to adopt. And I don't think it needs to necessarily be a policy where it has teeth and needs to be policed.
Right.
But it is something that says, you know, this is not going to be tolerated. Does everybody feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, we can work on this.
Okay. How do you want everybody to work on revisions, or do you want Andy to come up with revisions? It sounds like you have a lot of
No,
opinions. Do you want to work with
I
Andy
will,
together?
I will
or-
work on this and send my thoughts to Andy
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Okay.
You know,
Sounds good.
Perfect. And then do you think you could have something back for next week?
oh no, not next week. Come on.
What's wrong with next week?
I don't know. I have things to do. Can we go a couple of weeks?
I don't know. I'd just like to get things done. Don't need to leave
I
them
know
hanging.
you do, Colleen, but
All right. So first week of July. That's the best you're gonna get. Okay. Does that work?
no.
Are you gonna just put it off so it doesn't come back?
No, if I was gonna put it off so it doesn't come back, I would make a motion to table it.
Okay.
I did not do that. I would make a motion to table.
Alright.
That sends it off into Neverland. Let me just look at my
No
calendar,
problem.
please. Yeah, I'll have something back by next week. Because I can't,
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So we'll put that back next week, and you know, if it doesn't come, we can pass over it, and it'll at least be on for next week.
All right.
All right. Moving on to the composting update, Anne Marie Foley.
Great, thank you. Cue Colleen's slideshow. Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
So I came before the board sometime last year and spoke to you about the composting program that we had started. And I just wanted to give an update and try to, see if we can gain some more traction by expanding the program with some town support. So through the board and through administration, hopefully. So basically the goal, there's, a few goals, but waste reduction is certainly one of them. Another thing to think about is just, our like topsoil depletion and how we can try to work on that in terms of, bringing more organic nutrients into our soil. So let me look to see what I've got up here. Okay, and I've got it here too, sorry. So I just, as an example, so we started this program, I think, around November of 2020. And in the Foley household, we have estimated to have diverted 726 pounds of organic waste from the landfills. Grafton currently has 50 active participants, sorry, and we're diverting about 1.1 tons per week, which equates to, over the course of the, let's say 18 months or thereabouts that we've been doing this, 17 tons of waste, or about 34,000 pounds, which is great. Currently, the weekly costs are, the monthly costs are $16 per month. Those costs go down with the more folks that we have participating. So in order to, I think some people are waiting till the costs go down, and we're kind of in this little limbo land. We currently have 60 people, according to Black Earth Compost, who are pre-registered to start up, but that's been the case almost since we started. So again, I'm not sure if that's the initial cost that's holding them back, or the weekly cost, or what have you. So I do think that if we could try to supplement this program somehow and really try to to get it going, that would be great. The startup costs currently are $38. For the $38, you get the bin, and you get 2 sets of compostable liners. So some of them are for the large bin, and then most people have a small bin in their kitchen just for kind of the daily stuff. You don't have to use those liners. You can use paper bags if you want within the big liner, or within the big bin or the small bin, it doesn't matter. But that's kind of the startup bin that I give out, as a bin plus the 2 sets of bags. Other towns, I just kind of gave some examples, but 2 of them are not really, they don't line up with us. But Ipswich, for example, they have a population of 13,000 people, and they have 800 households participating right now, which at that level, it brings the weekly cost down for the consumer, the Graftonite, to, I believe, around $2 a week. And it might be a little bit less depending on other things that we can do in terms of other programs. Another good town that's more comparable than the other ones I put up there, just because they have larger populations, is Newburyport. They have 18,000 people, so really more similar to our population, and they too are at around 800 households. Newton, for example, doesn't really line up necessarily, but 2,400 households they have going there. So currently we have it every other week in town. That has come up as a little bit of an issue. So initially it was sold to us as a weekly program, and it was a weekly program for a while. Unfortunately, due to staffing that we're all going through, and trying to, get people out working and driving these trucks, they had to reduce it to every other week. For us personally, for me personally, in my household and other folks that I've talked to, it's not really an issue. We don't fill the bin on a weekly basis. We don't even fill it bi-weekly. But some people have brought it up, just so you know that, the one downfall is in the summer. So that went through the winter when we were doing the bi-weekly. We're coming into the summer now, where some people are kind of questioning, will there be odor and whatnot? So, we'll see. And I think that, again, if we could build the program up, maybe we can get the weekly service going again, and then that will mitigate that issue. So I'm just bringing it to the board, and I've talked to Evan a little bit about this in terms of how we can expand this program, how we as a town can try to support it, other than me, trying to drum up support through Green Up Grafton and just word of mouth type thing. I guess if you want to go to the next slide, the one thing to highlight is things that you can put in compost. So another thing that folks might bring up is, I can do this, or I'm doing this in my backyard already. Why would I pay for this? And by the way, great, that's good for you. I keep doing that. Why would you pay for it? But if you are either looking for a more convenient way to do it, I'm just putting it in something in my kitchen, and then it goes to my garage, and then out to the curb every other week. Or if you don't simply have the space for it, right? If you're in a condominium or an apartment or something like that, and you want to participate, then those would be folks that hopefully can hop on board. But I know in my house, things such as pizza boxes. If you go down kind of under the household items, I don't know if you can make that little part bigger even. But like just now, we just emptied out our, we have a green egg grill. So all of the soot from that can go to the composting, to that bin. Any kind of ash, I guess. Cotton balls, pet food, pet waste, if you have chickens, like Evan and I do. Fur feathers, like from your dogs. House plants, like sometimes if I just have old cut flowers, I'll just kind of stick them in there instead of hurling them out in the yard. So things like that. And then if you go up, the cooking oil and grease is another thing that you're not really able to get rid of, other than, going to the landfill. So just looking at, an interesting fact that I just learned the other day is that Massachusetts only has 6 landfills left, and we're due to have no landfills, for them all to be closed by 2030. And when that happens, we're going to be trucking this waste to Ohio. And as we all know, the recycling you know, the notion of reduce, reuse, recycle, I'm living more reduce, reuse because we have an issue obviously with recycling in this country right now as well, and most of it's, or some of it is certainly getting incinerated versus getting recycled truly. So I guess I'm bringing it, here's the information. We've been working on this for a while. We're kind of at a standstill in terms of folks. I probably have one person per month sign up for it. But if we were to buy the bins in bulk, I think a pallet is $84 in the pallet. It brings that initial cost down to $30 per kit, per starter kit. And maybe that would be something that we could look at, supplementing or,
Yeah, so the town, Will and I looked at this a little bit. So the town does have a little over $30,000 of, it's called RDP money from the Department of Environmental Protection. We're slated to get another grant of RDP money, and we really do need to start spending down some of that money because they don't like it when you hoard it. So this would be a great way to utilize those funds and offset the cost of composting in Grafton and try to drive up some of that waste diversion into this composting track. There may be other ways that we can utilize the RDP money in the same program. We just haven't uncovered what they are yet, but we do know we can definitely do the bins, and we believe we can do the upfront, like we'll call it the buy-in, the starter pack.
which I'm wondering if that's the hold up on those 60 people that are kind of I'm not sure, but,
Yeah.
remains to be seen.
I also had a meeting this week with, I think you know her, Doreen DeFazio, and she brought one of her staff members in who's looking to do some work around composting and wants to do it in Grafton. So Sophie is her name, volunteered to do the outreach portion of it and help us get that off of the ground. So follow up with the initial 60 people and, create community documentation that we could send out and reach out to people and do the outreach. So I think that we'd be able to put together a pretty good program to try to get this jump started a little bit maybe faster than we've been growing, so that we can hit some of those benchmarks.
Just to note as well, Black Earth does some pretty neat programs with schools as well. So if we were to eventually look at, municipally how we can do this in schools, the town hall, the senior center, for example, they have like a 48-gallon bin. I think it's $20 every other week, I think, for that pickup. But what they also partner is in, and I forget the name of, they have a cute little name for it, but building raised beds using their compost and soil, and it's kind of like here's how this is all working. We're using the compost bin. Come on out, kids. We're gonna plant some plants, and then we're gonna bring them up in the spring and whatnot. So they have some other fun things that if again we had someone that was a little more committed to this than just me saying, hey, this is a great thing, jump on. I think we could do something greater, even to involve, like I said, schools and whatnot. And then we talked a little bit about this, and maybe I'm a little unrealistic, but there are numbers saying that be about $20. You could get to a point where even rebate people through taxes and whatnot, but how much are we going to save on the tipping fee, right? That might not be able to be teased out necessarily, but I would hope that maybe there would be a slight but I know I have to be realistic on that.
Actually, Chris McGoldrick and I have talked about putting raised planters out in front of town hall and growing some vegetables to donate to the senior center for seniors to bring back.
I forget what it's called.
I saw it in some literature when I was online too, but it seems like it's a great program, but it's fun at the same time. I like implementing this kind of stuff.
Oh, and by the way, you do get, if you're involved, you get a bag of compost in the spring. So we all get a coupon, and we get to go to a local nursery and pick up our bag from Black Earth. It's our, we reap what we sow.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
I have a couple. The liners you mentioned in the beginning, where would people get liners once they've used them up? Is that kind of like the bags that you go buy, or?
Through Black Earth,
Through
yeah.
Black, okay.
So they give you a roll. It's fairly substantial. It lasts a good, ours do anyways, a while, and then you just reach out to them and they deliver them.
Okay. And then my other question is, the communities like Ipswich that have 800 participants, have you reached out to anyone in that community to see how did you drum up that much participation?
Not yet. I do know that a lot of communities, or a number of communities, have partnered with Black Earth. So the communities, not just a citizen, you know, in coming up with these little programs, like, okay, if we hit this number, we're going to reduce the per weekly cost and whatnot, or they're subsidizing some part of it. So
Would that be a next step, is have Black Earth come in and do a presentation to partner with us, or is that not?
I think.
well, I think Evan's got some ideas.
Yeah, I was thinking, so, again, through Doreen meeting Sophie, I think that's something that Sophie might be interested in.
Okay.
It was something that I'm now remembering we discussed it, although I'm a little bit worried that was part of some other conversation that I may have had. We've talked about composting quite a bit in the last couple weeks. But I think she would definitely be game for that. And I think she would probably also be game to reaching out to the other municipalities and finding a like-minded person there that's running that program and saying, how are you drumming up so much? I think that might be a good project.
I know in Marlboro, they told me just recently, it was, again, Marlboro was funding some of it, right, to get folks started.
Yep.
And they got like 100 people in 1 week or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we have, we just used some of the RDP money for the Rain Barrel program. So I think this is, another, or that is a symbiotic kind of use for this RDP money that we can continue to do year over year.
All right. Looks
So-
like you're about to say something.
Just along the lines of reaching out to other towns.
Yeah.
Apparently on my first day of work in the town of Grafton, I spoke to the DPW director of Hamilton about
Okay.
their composting program.
Great.
So I can pass that information and that contact along to you as well.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Ahead of the curve.
So I guess just supporting that potentially we might use some of that grant money to offset even just a certain number of,
Yeah, that's what it's there for,
bins.
totally.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great.
All right. Any other questions or comments about
Are
this?
those bags, are the bags compostable?
Yeah, they are.
They are, okay,
Yeah.
because I saw some today at a golf tournament, well, the US Open, but, they had compostable bags.
Yeah.
And-
So for the most part, my bin, well, in the kitchen, it's fine because it moves quicker. I'm moving it out more readily. But if the one that's in the bin in the garage, after 2 weeks, depending what we put in there, it can start to compost on the bottom.
Yep.
Which, just like your trash barrel, you just hose it out. It doesn't, it typically holds up no matter what we're throwing in there. Because again, it's just the 2 weeks it's waiting. But yeah, ultimately those bags are composting as well.
I think they're made out of corn gluten or something like that, right? Some
Probably.
corn,
That's cool.
corn byproduct.
Does it look like a regular bag?
It looks like a regular bag.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
the bags I saw today
Yeah,
would just
yeah.
look like a regular
They're
bag.
actually, somebody emailed me when they knew I was talking about this tonight. And they're like, you should bring up the trash bags because that's always a thing. And they might hold up maybe better. I shouldn't say
Then
better.
okay.
Because I'm tuning my program, of course. Yeah, no.
I'm done with this.
Oh, don't travel down that road.
Moving on.
No.
That's always a fun discussion. I think it's personally, I think it's great, and I know staff on the staff side of the house, we're on board, and like I said, Doreen had approached me, and it was serendipitous because I think 2 days before I had talked to Anne Marie about it. So
Great.
I think we can do something with this.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks.
So if we're all done with that, we can move right on to policy update and review. William, would you like to lead the charge on that one?
Sure. So the policies that were in the packet, we did have to make some small grammatical changes to them. So I do have updated policies that I've given to each of you, and I can share them to the screen if you would like.
Sure.
Alright, so the two policies that we tackled for this week were the credit card use policy and the mailbox replacement policy. Starting with the mailbox replacement policy, this was largely a rewrite and a refresh of the policy that already existed for the town. We took it, we cleaned it up a little bit, we made some grammatical and some formatting tweaks, we put it into the new format that we've got, and we changed some of the language just to focus the policy a little bit and to ensure that the town is covered not just for plows but any other town vehicles that may hit a mailbox.
Okay.
Just one thing, Will, it says if a town plow or other vehicle, can you just put other town vehicle?
Yep, so if you look at the handout that you've got, that
Okay.
change was actually made. That was one of the changes that we implemented.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And
See,
is $20 a reasonable amount for a steel mailbox nowadays?
I'm Googling that one of those right now.
No.
Do we get a lot of requests for mailbox replacements before we talk about changing that number?
Probably.
All right, how many would you say approximately in a year?
I would have to get that data. I mean, I there was probably 10 that came through our office that we redirected up to highway, but I don't have any figures on what they're getting.
Oh, well, here's
Um,
one for $21.
I think we're buying them in bulk.
true.
So there you go.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
I
you
mean,
give them the
certainly-
mailbox, not the $20?
No, I think we replace. Yeah, I think we physically
install it.
replaced
Oh.
the mailbox.
Oh, okay, great.
But it's mostly the snow that takes it out. Not
Yeah.
the
Truck
not
itself.
the
Right.
actual plow.
So if the and that's what this policy is. If the snow does it,
Yeah.
not us. That's just part of having a mailbox along a road.
Yep.
You know, we hit it. That's on us.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions about this policy? All right, well, let's move on to the credit card policy and then we'll approve them all together.
Excellent. That's not updated. There we go. So, credit card use policy. This was a pre-existing policy. We did some more grammatical work, more revisions, changing it to the format that we want. We did make a couple of additions to the policy under allowable uses and prohibited uses. We changed those up a little bit to bring them in line with modern spending habits for what the credit card might be used for. Additionally, we added a section 10 on card security, and we updated the policy to include that adding the card to any sort of third-party payment system, such as a PayPal, a Venmo, a Cash App, anything like that, is strictly prohibited. We want to make sure that people aren't using the cards for things like that.
Awesome. All right, well,
And
thank,
if anybody has any direct questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Indirect questions.
I do not answer indirect questions, direct only.
any questions or concerns? Awesome, thank you for doing this. I'm
Awesome.
getting really excited to get through all of these.
That makes one of us.
Someday will. You'll get excited. All right, I can take a motion to approve both of these policies,
Sure.
updated.
I move the board vote to approve the credit card use and mailbox replacement policies as amended.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Declare the motion carried. All right. And now we're on to select board reports. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share?
No.
ARPA?
I can do that part of
Okay.
update if you want.
Thank you.
Well, I'll share one thing. Last night I was at the Girl Scouts Court of Awards where several female volunteers in town were recognized for their efforts in leadership during COVID. It was a wonderful event and it was really exciting to see how the Girl Scouts celebrate each year as girls advance and move on. And, you know, I was not a Girl Scout growing up, so it was really fun to see that and be a part of it. And I brought my daughter, who she was pretty excited to see that too. Good. Yep. All right, town administrator reports.
Yeah. Okay. So, keeping with our monthly or our weekly, nope, jeez, I'm off.
Meetingly.
Daily.
I'm out. I'm done. Just, each meeting, I've been talking about the budget. It's a little redundant now because we're right in that transition period. So we're doing a lot of work, but none of it is really interesting. We are doing the Vadar cutover process. We're right there at the end of that. So we're finalizing our dual input process that we've been doing, and now it'll cut over to strictly the new budgeting software, which is a huge task that, you know, our accounting and finance department has been just really stellar at making happen. So we're in really good shape, and it's really going to streamline, you know, Grafton's finance moving forward. We're finding a lot of, I don't want it to sound like we have malfeasance or money missing or anything, but just the account structures are so disjointed that you know it's really hard to do our jobs properly. So this is going to be It's going to be fantastic. We continue to do our end of year work. That should say joint meeting, June 29th with FinCom. We've got most of our, but you should also join that meeting. We have our end of year final transfers. They're more substantive than we would like, but we'll have plenty of conversation around why that is and why we think that's an outlier. We are opening the capital budget next week to allow department heads to start inputting some of their projects. We do have a lot of work to do beyond years, what would be years 2 and 3. We have some stuff that CIPC had captured originally, but looking at what the town has for inventory does not match what we should have for a 5-year build out, even remotely. And in my conversations with department heads in our, bi-weekly supervision meetings, they're talking about stuff that I know is not in the plan. So that's a problem. And so we're gonna be really drilling down on that this year to try to capture all of that. We had the Arpa committee meeting last night. I think it was a good meeting. I think we got some really great input. So our survey came back. We had 711 respondents, which is huge. I mean, just huge for this, for our community this size. Really great feedback in there. I think we've got to refine a little bit of the data, as far to get down to brass tacks of what it means in some cases, especially around business ownership. But, by and large, the takeaways are, everybody wants sidewalks, which we knew was going to be a huge driver in there. And we also know that sidewalks are hugely important. We had quite a bit of people looking for water infrastructure projects, mental health services, and what was the other one that was up there in the 18%? 17-18%.
And we got a revised one today.
Yeah.
A little bit with the numbers, but
So, and we'll forward that whole revised list out to the board for review, and we can put that on, as we drill down. So ARPA committee decided not to make any recommendations last night. We're going to sit on it for about a month and then come back, because it is quite a bit of data, and we also, now having that data, need to revise our project list. So over the next month, what I'll be doing is, during my bi-weekly sessions with each department head, sitting down and looking at what they submitted and saying, does this fit into one of the buckets that people most likely want to see us fund? And if it does, you've got 10 things. We're not going to do all 10 of these. It's not going to work that way. How do we prioritize and make this into something viable? So, actually, Mary already revised half of it by this morning when I got to work. So she's been, full bore with it, which is great.
sorry,
And-
did you say roads? That was the other.
Sorry, roads.
That's-
Yes, we don't have a lot. Don't worry about it.
That was one of the top 3.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Which again, we know, you could throw all the money at it, and it doesn't go as far as folks think it's gonna go. So,
Yep.
what we talked about yesterday was a mixture of, hitting the biggest catchment of people of what they want to see, getting the biggest bang for our buck, but also making sure that, we fund some of those smaller things that might impact a smaller subsection of the population, but that may be underutilized or underserved, right? And we had talked about things like, and I'm not swaying anybody or anything, but like one of the things that we've talked about a couple times is, like, for example, the food bank, right? You put $50,000 into a road, it doesn't do a heck of a lot for you, right? It kind of disappears into the project. You put $50,000 into a food bank, that's a huge influx of funding for them. And so we want to make sure that the package we give to you is a mixture of those things, I think. No one voted that. That's just kind of my sense of the room as we discussed. People seem to be of similar mind that that's a viable way to move forward. So we'll keep. I think that we'll make some recommendations next month. That's the feeling that I got from that meeting. We did have one resident turn out, which was great. It's only the second resident to come to any of these ARPA things. and it was great. We talked about pickleball for, I don't know, I think another 40 minutes after the meeting. I know a lot about pickleball now. I know you have to run and move, so I'm not going to play it. But no, it was really great, and I really do wish that more people would turn out, because, you know, honestly, one person coming to a meeting sways the room into looking at those dollars. Because again, if the pickleball people show up and say we need $10,000, and you're having a conversation about 3.3 million, they're the only people in the room. It seems like a no-brainer, because they're there and doing their own advocacy, which people did through the survey too. I'm not poo-pooing that in any way, but it was fun. I really enjoy when people come and advocate for their passions, and he's very passionate. The gentleman that came, so that was fun. Okay, sorry, tangent. Other items. So last Friday, I spent most of the day at Tufts with the folks from Mass Life Sciences. So they are an organization that they're a state organization, but they give money to organizations like Tufts to do different scientific endeavors, whatever that is. So there was a whole bunch of machinery there at Tufts that we toured that does a whole bunch of stuff that I don't understand. That they had given money for, like $2.9 million to buy this equipment. There was one machine that was doing like DNA sequencing, but it was all automated. So it like picks up the tubes and does all. Again, I went to school for political science. I don't know what that thing was doing, but it was really cool to see it. I was excited about it. We got to tour a lot of lab space and got to see a lot of what Tufts is doing, which is interesting because, I mean, this is my second tour, but I think the community at large sees it as a veterinary school, which it is, but it's also huge in bioscience, and they're doing a lot of really cutting edge things there that it's really impressive. So we had a great conversation. We were able to highlight some of the ways that the town and Tufts is working together to try to expand not only the bio and life sciences, especially in that area, but also drive things like affordable housing, because they don't have on-campus housing. You know, these are things that directly impact people's ability to go to school there or to take a job there. And it is pretty interesting to see the enclave of residents in the area that also work at Tufts. So it was really neat. It was a great tour. John Allen actually got the whole thing going and worked with Joe and Jean Potee up there. So I would like to thank the folks at Tufts and Mass Life Sciences. It was a really eye-opening tour. It was great. Got to see the piggery too. So if they ever offer you the tour, don't take it.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know. I grew up with pigs, and it was too much for me. It was a lot. But really neat at the same time, and a great facility. So Will has been partaking. He just did a presentation today from Moncito, which is ADA Web Services. So as you know, we're upgrading the website, and we're incorporating some ADA accessibility changes. What this company does is a little bit beyond where we're at, or we will be at once we're done. This really takes, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is going to take, if we were to go down this road, it takes the website that you already have and make it more accessible, but it also does things for people with dyslexia, and it finds a lot of the errors and keywords and stuff. It's really next level. It's about $5,000 a year, so I don't know if we'll be looking at that for this fiscal year, but it does solve quite a bit of our access concerns, which is a real driver for why we're redoing the website. So instead of it being kind of this stagnant, we increase our accessibility one time and then we stay at the status quo, by adding on this accessibility service, it's constantly crawling the website in the background. And when an employee puts something up and they use a word that we shouldn't be using, or they put up a picture or something that they don't have the right background text so that it'll tell you what it is, if you're sight impaired, it flags that for you.
Oh, awesome.
And tells us that that's a problem, which that's one of the main issues with our website, is that because it's been around so long, it's this sprawling site, which is we've lost accountability for a lot of the stuff because so many people across so much time have put so much information up there that you just can't physically get to every piece of it. So I think it's definitely something that we're going to be pushing for, either as an add-on in this fiscal year or the following fiscal year.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
the website update? So currently we have data back to what, 2014 or 15? When we upgrade the new website, will we be able to get any information previous to that, or will we be starting at 2022 and we lose the stuff we do have? You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Will.
So working with Civic Plus, they are going to migrate a certain number of documents over for us automatically, and we're going to work with Civic Plus and with the departments to identify the highest priority documents, and everything else that they don't automatically do, we will be able to take down and re-upload. So everything that's currently on the website, we'll be able to get to the new one as well.
Okay. But stuff that's not up there couldn't, I'm thinking like minutes from 2010, for example. Could that get up there?
If we have those somewhere,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We can add anything we want, but we can also, let's say we have minutes on the current website on some departments to go back to 2010, they'll get migrated. Those would be on our list of things that automatically are going to come over. I mean, they're going to,
Yeah.
minutes and agendas and stuff, that's really probably going to be top.
Right.
Because there's going to be a lot of documents that we'll find that were relevant in 2016, but, they're a public document and we have them somewhere, but no one's looking at, the advertisement for, a day on the common or something like that, If it happened, 10 years ago, no one's looking for that.
Well, like Townhouse Oversight Committee, right? I would love to go digging through some of those minutes, but they're
Yeah, and so one of the things that have recognized, and I think a lot of towns have recognized, is that there's the pre-digital age and post-digital age of government. So pre-2014, 2012 for some of the more progressive communities, that stuff's not up.
Okay.
So one of the things that I had done in my previous community is I had a intern from the local high school who was looking to do some work, and he scanned in every town meeting warrant in the clerk's office. So it went back to like the 40s, and I was able to get all of them up online because it's really small data. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but that was a pretty neat project, and I'd love to get something like that going here. I think we, again, and I've said this a lot over the past year or so, we've got to fix the baseline, and then we can build from it. So we're getting there. Anything else on the website before I move on? Okay. Lastly, we start tomorrow. Yes.
Yep.
Our Council on Aging Director interviews. So as you know, Barb Connolly is retiring, and so we got, I think, eight qualified applicants that we're going to interview, which is fantastic for this level position. We were very worried that our applicant pool would be thin, but it looks like we've got some really interesting and well developed candidates. So hopeful between this week and next week we'll find our person and we'll be able to bring them forward for confirmation. So yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
awesome. Thank you. Next up is correspondence. Does anybody have anything in correspondence they'd like to discuss?
Nope.
All right. And next is resignations. I think we could do this all in one motion, but it'd be big.
As long as everybody doesn't mind sitting here and listening.
I have to listen when we're there. Right?
All right. I move the board vote to accept and acknowledge the resignation of John Kelly, Cable TV Oversight Committee, William Drago, Council on Aging, Darrell Rinning, Disability Commission, Sarah Kinsman, Grafton Cultural Council, John Morgan, Grafton Historic District Commission, John Aberg, Grafton Historical Commission, Kimberly Bagney, Grafton Historical Commission, Mark Fobert, Grafton Historical Commission, Cecily Bergen, Election Worker, Janet Seamus, Election Worker, Rosalind Dennis, Election Worker, Joyce Berkowitz, Election Worker, Paula Berkowitz, Election Worker, William Chazon, Election Worker, Diane Peterson, Election Worker, Joan Foley, Election Worker, and Charlotte.
Sorry.
That's it. We'll just say Election Worker.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Can we just add a letter of thanks to all these wonderful volunteers?
We do our we have our cards that we made up, and
Phenomenal.
yep, we're on it.
All right, so motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. All right, and the last thing up is public comment. All right,
No hands on.
seeing none, we can, and no meeting minutes tonight, I can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody.